Hi and welcome to 2024. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you all had a good Christmas, those that celebrate Christmas. I have just received a message on one of the YouTube posts I did, and it was very nice. It was thanking me for the litter picking I do in Liverpool and for documenting the people of Liverpool in photography and giving me some advice on where I can look for painting. Thank you, John. Brilliant. This is very interesting today. I didn't want to do a video and I've looked at 3 or 4 of my last few videos and I can see the way my brain works, and sometimes it looks like I'm up and sometimes it looks like I'm down, which I tried to explain a little while ago in my stroke video. And I'm not in the mood to do this video today, but because I'm not in the mood to do it, I'm going to do it, because otherwise I just won't do it. And I'm not in the mood because there's a lot going on with my insides and my brain, and it's quite a difficult process to sit down and do this, and I know this might have to be done in a load of takes, which we'll see what happens, but I decided instead of not doing it, I'm going to do it. One of the funny things is when I used to do my other channel, when I've done a lot of other stuff before, I'd be really concerned about what I was wearing, my backgrounds. And people have opinions about what you wear, same as they used to have with Zuckerberg and his t-shirts and this, that and the other. That's why he just wore the same t-shirt all the time. I don't really give a shit about all that. I'm a 60-year-old guy who's had to retire early because of a stroke, and I don't care what I wear at 60. I don't care what I look like, to be honest. I never really have. I am who I am. I've always managed to get myself a girlfriend and get married and have a happy life and everything else. So I don't really give a shit about things like that. I'm not Instagrammy. And when you look at Instagram and the people that are on Instagram and the people that are on YouTube and the big channels they've built, you have to conform to some kind of standard. And I've never been really one for that. When I started getting known in photography, you have to behave in a certain way. When I was working for Fujifilm, some of the ex-photographers, including myself, got a little bit told off for some of the things we did. But fuck it, like, I wasn't even allowed to swear when I worked for some of these people. But that's who I am. So this is my spare room in my house. I've got a freezer over here. I've got a dishwasher going in the background. Jane's probably going to walk through in a minute because she's out in the camper van, going to make a noise. But if I actually try and find the perfect time, tomorrow I live opposite the school and the school's back. There's going to be a hell of a row tomorrow, so I have to pick a time when the school's not making a row to do this. If I kept doing all those things, I would never actually get round to making any of these videos. So I thought I'd just do an update today. So I thought before Christmas I would get out and start having a look at my street photography project, Travel Past, and having a look at what and where I'm going to do things. And I never got out for many reasons. With a temperature drop, apart from having a stroke and everything else, I am 60. There's a few things that don't work, and I've got back damage from a previous motorcycle accident, and when it's really, really cold, I struggle with my back. And the 2 or 3 times I went to town to explore the ideas that I had, I'd already walked Jake in the morning 5 miles, and that's my priority. And then walking around town another 4 or 5 miles, I was getting home and I was exhausted the next day, both mentally and physically with my back. So I didn't get out as much as I wanted to, which means I didn't explore those ideas about the project. Now, my idea Travel Past, as I tried to explain, I watched one of my videos back and it was quite painful to watch because my brain wasn't working the way it should do. And I was trying to explain what it was all about. And the truth of the matter is, when I made that video, I didn't exactly know. So you were actually looking at my thought process working. Well, the thought process involved in it is quite simple, but it's not as easy as that. So Travel Past will include the Merseyside area where I can get to on foot, by bike, or by train or bus or Mersey ferry. That's too wide a gambit, I think, but I'm going to have to explore that. My street photography has a style, and I like to shoot certain things and certain people in certain ways, and I do it in that candid way so they don't know I'm there. I'm not going to get into the realms of that at the moment, but at the end of the day, I like to shoot the scene as dynamic as possible, to shoot the scene as if I wasn't there, to capture the people the way I see them without me disturbing anything in the frame apart from what's going without changing the dynamic in the scene as such, without changing any single thing at all. Yes, if a certain person looks at me, I don't mind that. If I captures that slightly, it works well in street photography, more for the viewer than for what I want. But incorporating such a wide gamut and the whole of Merseyside, it's a little bit difficult. If Christian Cross shoots his local area, I think that works really, really well. I really do struggle with certain things, and I know you have to conform and shoot in certain ways to get known on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm not going to do that. I want to shoot a project as it goes to show you how it works this year, and this is the ups and downs of it all. It's January, it's cold. I don't mind the cold actually, it's the wet I don't like. It's January, it's cold. Do I want to go out and photograph at the moment? No. I see people like Diddy Shutter and a few other people in Liverpool out there shooting all the time, in all weathers. And good luck to them. I just don't want to do it. I can't be bothered. And one of the other reasons I can't be bothered is I really can't be asked to wipe the bloody rain off my lens every 5 minutes and come home with backache for the whole of the next day. Photography for me is about my enjoyment. And at my age, I want to be able to go out and really enjoy it. I've just been away for New Year. We've walked the dog, done some great things like that. Had a good Christmas, had a great New Year. And that's really important. Now, you know, it's that time of year where everyone starts talking about photography, starts saying their mojo's gone. And your mojo's probably not gone. You just can't be asked, right? And there's nothing wrong with not being asked, right? Because all that time you have not being asked, well, interestingly enough, I'm sitting here drawing today, but interestingly enough, when your mojo has gone as such, I think it's more, you can't be asked, and you can't really think of any ideas. But the more time you spend indoors or on social media trying to find those ideas, the less they'll come, because there's too many of them. Social media fills your brain with all this information, keeps you looking back and makes you addicted to keep looking and looking and looking. And it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. You need to go out and have a look and see what you want to do. I've been contacted recently by a few friends that are just slowly getting back into it, trying to incorporate it on their way to work because they've got busy work jobs. I understand that, and the only way they're going to learn is by doing that every day. Take the camera with them, shoot. Take the camera with them, shoot. I've got all the time in the world, I'm retired as such, and I still struggle. And I struggle because when you actually go out, what do you want to shoot? And yes, there's the old yellow, green and blue, or whatever you want to do, or shooting people with this, shooting coffee shop windows. But the trouble is, if you pin yourself down, you're missing out on something else. So that's why I've got a wide project this year, to try and find something within that project that works for me. And it's great that John's just mentioned documenting the people of Liverpool. Yes, that's sort of what I want to do, but in my own way. But I don't know what that way is yet. One year I did a portrait project with a reflection element to it. And I started off not knowing what I was going to do. And eventually I found my feet around February, March time. And then I completed the project, finished the project, did a book, talked about it on stage everywhere. Brilliant. It all worked really, really well. But it took a couple of months to find my feet. But how did I find my feet? I'll tell you how I found my feet. By going out there and shooting regularly. Because if you go out and shoot regularly, you find your feet. It's a bit like drawing. One of the biggest problems I had recently with my art was I came into this room, I sat down for 3 or 4 hours and I started a drawing. I started the drawing and I started all with good intentions, and I started off really, really slowly, and then I rushed it to get it done within 3 hours and then go and watch YouTube or something like that. Absolutely stupid. And then I read somewhere the way to do it is do 20 minutes a day. What that happens is then I come in and sit down and I do 20 minutes of really, really good art, and then I walk away. Every day I come back and I keep doing 20 minutes of good art. That means it doesn't matter how long it takes, eventually the image will be done. And that's more important. It's a bit like photography. If I rush out and get a load of shit images, one of them may be like quite good, and I think, well, that's good, but I don't really shoot enough in that period, or I shoot too much. So do I undershoot or overshoot when I go out and take photographs? I actually don't know. That's something I've got to find out this year. Because I've had such a long break, I don't know the answers to those questions. So what this is about is Happy New Year. Also is my thought process. It sounds quite mad, but if you want to meet some of the photographers in the world that are some of the best, trust me, they're not all sane, and they a bit like musicians. Lots of drugs involved in musicians. I'm not saying there is in photographers, but when you go out there and you start shooting, I don't think it's a normal process. You have to absorb yourself in it. You have to get involved in it. No matter what age you are and what part of photography or level of photography you are, you have to go out and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And I've spoke about this before. to get better at anything from drawing to photography, you have to do it all the time. The more time you spend with the camera in the hand, the better you'll get. So that's it. I haven't been out I don't have to worry about my photography as far as camera use is concerned, or knowledge of camera ability. I have to really study and take photographs to work out what I want, and I really don't know. So this video is a Happy New Year introduction, and it sounds a mess and it looks a mess, but I don't know, and that's where I'm at the moment. And I thought I'd just make a video and tell you that, and my process will come into play as soon as I get out there and I work out what I want and where I'm going. I'm going to come back and tell you that, no matter what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. At the moment, nothing. And I know we're only about 9 days into January, but I haven't got out in December to practice for my January, if that makes sense. So I might not get out until March, April. I will just say this, the journal app is brilliant on Apple. It's not as good as I thought it would be. Day one's much, much better. So I've now paid for day one to do a couple of my other projects. But for a personal journal, for me, the Apple journal app is really, really good, and it's free. So I'm going to use that. It's a little bit, doesn't quite do things. It doesn't pull in the things I want. It doesn't pull in the walks I want from like Strava, for instance, and things like that. It pulls them in from somewhere else. Hopefully in the future, it will pull in from Strava and pull in from better things. So if you're listening in Apple, which I doubt, then get your act together and get it to pull in from Strava and other fitness apps like that. That would be really helpful. So I'm going to do my personal journal on the Apple Journal app. I'm going to do my photography project on day one, and my travel and everything else journal on day one as well. And I'll come back to a little bit of that in the new year as well. So, hope you had a good Christmas. Happy New Year. That's my thought process for today. As you can see, I've decided to do it the way I am. Thank you for everyone that's messaged me and contacted me through YouTube. And thank you to everyone that's messaged me and contacted me through Instagram as well. And I'll be back when I've got something more relevant than this to say. Happy New Year.